today's video, we're going to be going over what to wear for your winter outdoor activity. So I've had this question come up a lot and thought I would answer it through this video. A lot of people have come up and asked me and said, "Hey Heather, I want to do more winter hiking, or I want to get into snowshoeing or try snowboarding. What should I wear to keep me warm and dry?" First of all, I want to start off by saying we're all different. What works for me may not work for you, so you just need to get out there and try different things and find what works. I'm going to give you 3 basic layers today. So keep these in mind as you are out there trying to figure out what works for you. So the first layer is your base layer, second is your insulating layer, and third your shell or outer layer. Your base layer should be made of a moisture or wicking material. This will allow to keep the perspiration that you're generating as you're out there doing these activities away from your body. This is going to keep you drier, so when you stop moving, you're not going to get cold or be subject to hypothermia. What I use for my base layer is a athletic shirt like this one. This is a long sleeve here, but I've been known to use a short sleeve. As you can see on the back, it has some ventilation here and is made of wicking material. For my pants, I would use these pants. This is a Under Armour cold gear. It has a fleece lining in here which provides a little more insulation. It is wicking as well as quick drying, which is nice if they do get wet. On my feet, I would be wearing a liner sock such as these. A silk sock works great, or you can purchase a liner sock like this one at any local outdoor. Amazon has them. That's going to keep the moisture off your feet to prevent blistering and keep them warmer. The main thing about your base layer is you don't want to use cotton. Cotton is going to absorb all that perspiration and you're going to get cold very quickly. So you want to make sure whatever material you're using, whether it's an athletic material, a merino wool, or some other type of base layer, that it does provide wicking and is quick drying. Moving on to our insulating layer. For our insulating layer, I would use a fleece such as this one, or a puffy coat like this one here. This particular puffy coat does fold up small into its own pocket, which is nice because as you're hiking, you tend to get hot and have to take layers off, so it does fold up neatly and will fit into my backpack. For my feet, I would use an alpaca sock. Yes, an alpaca sock for my insulating layer. I prefer an alpaca sock over a wool sock because they hold their shape a lot better for a lot longer time. They're definitely softer than your wool socks are and just as warm or warmer than a wool sock. But if you prefer a wool sock, by all means use a wool sock. I would also, depending on how cold it is, if it's windy, add a turtle fur. This just provides warmth for that section between where your hat hits and your coat is. Moving on to our shell or outer layer. So your shell or your outer layer is going to provide the waterproofing and wind barrier that you need to stay warm and dry. I would start out with, if it's a sunny, warm day, I would start out with a gaiter, such as this here. I used these gaiters the other day. It was mid-30s, the sun was out. but we had about 12 inches of snow here. The gator provided the barrier that I needed to keep my legs dry while running through those 12 inches of snow. So it's just going to keep that lower leg from getting wet, or your base layer from getting wet from the moisture that's on the ground. If it were a nice day but not super cold, I would probably use something similar to this. This is a rain jacket along with a waterproof pant, as seen here. And this is just going to provide me with a complete waterproof exterior, so I can go out there and do those snow angels or sledding, something of that nature. And I would put this rain pants directly over my base layer legging and my rain jacket over either my fleece or my puffy coat, depending on how warm or cold it is. Oftentimes I will just wear my puffy coat over my base layer, or wear my fleece along with my puffy coat and then add your raincoat over the top to provide that barrier against the moisture and the wind. If it were really cold, and by really cold I mean 0 to below 0, I would use a full snowsuit. Hopefully I can get this in here. Similar to this. This is just an Oakley brand, really old. I've had this a long time. This is going to keep me very warm and dry. I prefer a full snowsuit over a two-piece snowsuit, just because it eliminates the bulkiness around your waist area. You already have your pack strap, and then you're moving, and then you end up getting this gap of exposed skin on the backside, which then causes me to be cold. So I prefer a one-piece suit, but you could always do a ski jacket with ski pants or bib overall, ski pants with a jacket. Either is your preference. I just like the full jacket. Moving on to our extremities, we have your fingers. So I prefer a mitten. I just think they're warmer than a traditional glove. If you do get a traditional glove, make sure that it is rated for cold weather. I have two different types of gloves here. I have this one, which is made out of wool with a fleece lining, as you can see here. This one is really nice because it's got the exposed fingers with the mitten tip. This just provides me with access so I can take photos or easily access my snacks. So I do like this. The drawback to this particular mitten is if it gets wet, it's wet, it's soaked. Where if you had a mitten like this one, it's going to have that barrier against the water, so I can make endless amount of snowballs. It is really important to have a good hat. You lose most of the heat out of your head, so a good hat is definitely a must. This particular hat is like my mittens. It's wool exterior with a fleece lining, as shown here. If it's a warmer day, I may opt for just ear cover or a lighter weight hat. For my feet, you want to make sure that you have a good winter boot. Yes, winter boot. Don't try to skimp in this area and get away with your hiking boots. You'll find that you're pretty miserable. When looking for a winter boot, make sure that it has good insulation and it's waterproof. These are waterproof. This is going to prevent from the water getting inside, soaking your socks, because once your feet are wet, then your whole body is going to be cold in my experience. I have an alternate boot here, like this one. This boot is rated for 50 below, I think. So it's a very warm boot. It comes with a liner inside that you could remove should you not need such an insulated boot for a warmer day. I've never taken this out personally. I just found that with it out of the boot was too wide, so I just have two boots. Just happened to get a good deal. So again, just whatever works for your price range and for your body, that's what I would do. I wanted to talk about skincare and eye care today. I think it's really important and in the area that we often don't think about in the winter time. But skin and eye care is just as important as your layers. I use at least an SPF of 50. If you want a more natural route, you could use something like this. This is also an all-natural sunscreen. At the very minimum, you need to cover your hands, face, and neck areas. When the sun hits the snow, it can be really easy to get sunburn and not even think about it. The other thing that I've had happen is as the day gets warmer, you might start out with more layers and remove those layers and find out that you've now gotten down to your short sleeve shirt and your arms are exposed, which leads to more sunburn. So sunscreen is definitely a must, as well as a good set of sunglasses. A polarized pair of sunglasses are going to provide you with that protection against the sun glare. The sun hits that snow and it can be blinding. There is such thing as snow blindness. So sunglasses are definitely one of those things that are a must if you're going to do winter outdoor activities. Last thing is chapstick. You want to make sure that you have chapstick with good SPF. That way you don't have those scaly lips after doing your outdoor activities. So a good chapstick is also something that you need to carry during the winter months as well as the summer months. So again, those three layers are the base layer, which is your moisture wicking layer, your insulated layer, your shell or outer layer, which provides you with that barrier against moisture and wind. When you're talking about your shell layer, you want to make sure that you're using a waterproof gaiter, a rain coat, or waterproof pants, or snowsuit. Your insulating layer should be fleece, down, or wool, and your base layer that wicking non-cotton material. I hope you enjoyed this video and I appreciate you watching today. See you out on the trails.